JobStream AI family. This is Adonis McReynolds, and this is the co founder, Jess Seitz. She's with us
Hello.
today. We're going to talk about something very important to the world today, and that is culture. Culture is everything in job searching today. I mean, most people are always trying to avoid landing in a bad situation where the boss is a jerk or something is going on internally that's not fun to deal with, whether it be just like high stress because of management or other things that can really inhibit a person's journey to success within an organization. Jess, I'm sure you've had your fair share of bad culture, good culture. Maybe you can
Yeah.
share why this video is so relevant today for our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, culture is obviously very important because if you are spending 40 hours a week in a job, it's something that you want to, mesh well with the people, enjoy the atmosphere, have the same type of values, enjoy the work that you're doing. But because today's world is so different and people come and go so much faster, and, the best way to get a raise is to quit your job and get a new job, one person can change that culture so fast. Like you could love your boss and then your boss leaves and there's a new boss comes in and then the whole thing is completely different. So that's why we want to talk about this today, why it's relevant, because we want people to understand like what to do in that situation, how to like know the signs, to make sure you're not going to get into a place. Obviously, there are no guarantees, but we can at least help you like see some signs before you even get in there and see some good signs, some bad signs. So I think it's really relevant today so people can really enjoy the work that they're going to do.
Absolutely. And I want to double down on what Jess just said. Clearly, there are no guarantees as it pertains to culture. We can certainly do research and try to figure out what are the best situations, and we'll go into that a little bit today shortly. We don't want to take too much of your time, but we also understand that sometimes things change without, and there's nothing we can do about it. Somebody leaves because they get a promotion at a new job, or maybe even somebody gets fired or laid off because of unprofessional behavior or maybe budget cuts. There's a number of reasons why things today are changing so quickly. But all of those, inevitable things aside, right? We can, generally speaking, pinpoint what is a good culture to go into, what is a bad culture to go into, and what are some signs, some red flags that you might be going into a bad one, and some green flags that you might be going into a good one. So I'll start off with the bad one, right? Like, we don't want to go into a bad culture. We don't want to go into a work environment that is not ideal for your personality, for who you are. And most people that I talk to mention stability as being a really really important factor within a culture. Like, if you got a culture where people are constantly fearing for their job, they don't know if they're getting the axe next. That is not a good culture to be in. I think most people would agree with that. What we have that's very unique with JobStream AI between the two of us is we're able to actually utilize hiring intent data. And hiring intent data is something we've spoken about quite regularly in some of the videos that we've done in the past. It's part of our VIP package. It's part of all the packages that we offer, quite frankly. And what's important about it is part of that data package tells us when a company has undergone a lot of change. We have what's called the churn rate, which is how often is the company adding to their team and how often is a company subtracting from their team. When the subtraction numbers are very high, that's a good indicator that the culture is very much ever changing and it's not stable, and it's something to be aware of. You may accept the job anyway. Like, it could be a great offer, it could be a great opportunity for you. The problem is that if you have a high churn rate, though, the predictability and sustainability of that opportunity could also be pretty low. So that's just one of the red flags to look out for when it comes to negative culture. You have anything to add to that, Jess?
No, I think that was really well done. And yeah, just like you said, a high churn rate can be a sign that people are getting fired very fast or that they quit a lot because there's some toxicity in the environment. So just so you're aware of the reasons why there's a high churn rate. But I think you said it great.
Wonderful. So, like, I think the next point that we want to hit in terms of like another red flag to look out for is if you constantly see posts being generated online by that company for the same position, oftentimes. This could mean a couple of different things. Number one, it could mean that they're actually just trying to put on a show for investors. There's no good reason to be like hiring every 10 seconds for the same position, right? So you want to kind of keep an eye out for like how regularly does this position get posted. You also want to keep in mind too that if like months later they're continuing to post the same roles, it could be just because they're trying to flaunt some idea that they're growing, or they might just be looking for a replacement for previous people that were part of that opportunity. And if they're doing that 4, 5, 6 times, just think about how toxic that brand has to be, on the inside. It's probably not a good idea. Any situations that you've had like that, Jess, where you kind of observed that, or anything additional to add on that point?
Yeah, like so luckily I personally haven't experienced that because I don't really work like regular 9 to 5 jobs. So it's a little different when you're a consultant, which we could also talk about. But definitely like yeah, what to add is either they have a horrible hiring process, so they're never hiring the right candidate, so that's a huge red flag, or the people are like, wow, okay, this job is not what I thought and we're leaving, and that's why they constantly need to post. So either way, it's obviously like a toxic environment, and it's just something to be aware of course though, if you're the type of person that like thrives in more chaos, if you're looking for like lean mean startups because you can get in on the ground floor and like possibly make a lot of money, maybe you're still open to that type of environment. So it's nothing like, oh, you can never work at this job. It's just very good to be aware of, and we can help you find those signals.
Yep. If your favorite type of opportunity is the dumpster fire, like these are not red flags for you. These are green flags, right? So obviously this primarily is going out to job seekers who are the typical employee types. We're not looking to be part of a dumpster fire. They're looking to be part of something that's running decently well. But yeah, for our consulting parties, for people that we do work with on that end, yeah, definitely could be a green flag for them in terms of trying to shift things or work on a contractual basis. The third flag, green flag, or I think we're still doing red flags right now, right? Things that people need to look out for and watch out for if they want to avoid landing in a bad culture. I think this one's pretty well known, but I'll throw this out there for those who are not super well aware. Don't just trust Glassdoor. There's a lot of different review platforms that you can take a look at. Um, there's a few different ways that one can understand culture through reviews. The first type of review to look at is customer reviews. And this may be a less popular take because a lot of people tend to look at like employee reviews, like what is it like to work out on the inside. But quite frankly, if the customer reviews are more negative than they are positive, and you're seeing that they've got like 2, 3 stars, from an outside party, that could be a reflection of what's going on internally because a company that's failing to meet customer expectations is probably likely also failing to meet employee expectations. I think that that's a really important thing to understand is that there really shouldn't be too much of a drop off between how the customer feels about the organization and working with the people versus, you know, internally, like what's going on there, right? If you're seeing a massive drop off in between there, like people on the inside are saying it's great, but like the customers are all saying it's terrible, I might kind of lean more towards trusting the customers on this one because the customers are the ones who deal with these people all the time. So anyone can fabricate stories, right? Anybody can say like, "Hey, we're so great. We got all these great reviews, all et cetera, et cetera." But if the customers are going back and saying these guys are liars, they're criminals, whatever, it's like, okay, well, it's their word against yours, and if they're not aligned, that's probably not the type of company you want to work with. Any thoughts on that? Just
Yeah, absolutely. So I think all those are super great points. And one of the things that is so important in job seeking is networking. So if you do want to know, something you can actually do is just go on LinkedIn, search the company you want to work for, go to people that work at that company. There's like a little tab, and then you can just literally message them. And like, not everyone is going to answer, and don't make it like some long, crazy thing, but just like, hey, I saw your profile, I love what you're doing. I really want to work at this company. I was just wondering, like, do you like your job? How's the culture? Like, you can actually just ask people. Like, not everyone is going to respond, but it takes, like 5, 10 minutes a day. You can go in and just message, maybe 5, 10 people at the company. You don't have to be like bothering them, hounding them, but just like a message or two. And then most people will genuinely just want to help you and be nice and be like, hey, yeah, this company is great. Or like, oh, actually, I'm trying to find a new job. Like, let me know if you hear of something. And that could be an amazing way. And it also just helps you build your network, build connections. So even if you don't get the job that round, you never know. Maybe one day you built up a nice little rapport, and then the person comes to you and say, hey, I just found out we're hiring. I know you didn't get in last time. So it could just be like a double win for you in the long run. It's something to do as well. And don't be shy to just ask people. As long as you're polite and you're not hounding them, it's not a problem.
absolutely. Yeah, and to kind of flip this around and go in the opposite direction, right? Like green flags, what are some good things to look out for? Really, all the red flags have a contrary consequence and a contrary outcome that you could be looking for. So, for example, with the ability that we have to understand churn rate, that works both for understanding what the red flags are and understanding what the green flags are. We can usually tell if a company has a really stable culture. If you're working with us, you're going to have that data to be able to assess, okay, does a company have a reputation of, having opportunities but not losing a ton of people in the process, right? And that kind of feeds into the second point that we had made about red flags. If you're seeing a position constantly posted, some people don't really know that, just because they don't look at the job boards very often, or they don't keep up with the news that's going on with different companies. That's another aspect where working with JobStream AI really helps you, because we have our thumb on the pulse of the market. We understand what's going on. We understand what companies have been hiring and have been hiring much longer than they should be, and which companies have basically just put some stuff out and have a decent reputation in terms of how they go about that process. And then thirdly, we talked a little bit about how reviews shape a person's perspective on culture. Certainly, we do a lot of research, especially once you get to the interview stage of the outreach plan that we have, and we go over that in some of our other videos. Go check those out. But once you get to the stage where you're interviewing with a company, what Jess and I can provide you with is data regarding everything that company is currently involved in, how much money they're making each year, what is their churn rate. So, of course, you can figure that out before you ever step into a meeting with them. And then we can give you some strategies as to how to interview in lieu of the information that we have, which is much more expansive than even what we're sharing today. So, culture is very important. It's something you can do a much better job of trying to locate and identify than a lot of people in the market today. But usually, with our help, you're going to have a little bit of an advantage in that regard. And so, yeah, while culture is very important, and we can't guarantee that every culture that we identify is going to remain the way that it is, um, there certainly are precautionary steps to take to make sure that you're going in the right direction. Any thoughts to add on that, Jess, before we close?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, strategy will provide that. Will also provide some key questions that you can ask to get like a pulse on how it is. And if worst case scenario happens and you were working at a job and you liked it, now the boss is different or a manager comes in or something happens and the culture's changed and you hate it, you can always come back to JobStream AI and we can help you again. And we usually do give some discounts to our long-term clients. So if you've worked with us before, usually we can, do a little deal on that too. So yeah, if anything happens, you have us in your back pocket.
That's right. And that includes, if you just get hired somewhere and you're like, okay, this is automatically, I know this isn't working out. This is within, like, let's say a month or two of being there. We'll help you back out for free. If you're already a client of ours, we'll definitely, just get you back on the board, and, we'll do the best that we can to make sure that we get you the next opportunity as well. Continue working with you until you're satisfied with that next opportunity that you want. So that's about it regarding culture. This is Jess Seitz. I'm Adonis McReynolds. Check us out at jobstreamai.com, and we'll see you on the other side.